Welcome, everybody. It's Thursday evening at 6:15, and welcome to Mastering Thought live stream, where we talk about the exercise moment mindfulness, and we lead people through the process. A couple announcements. We have a live stream on Mondays at 12. This next week, however, it will be Tuesday at 12 because I will be traveling. Oh, here's Paul. Hold on a second, Paul. I got you. Where'd you go? There he is, right there. Paul, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Oh,
Oh, nice.
that's considerably better. Thank you.
We get
We
the
got
clarity of
Paul
the video.
and Simon. Simon to my immediate left. Is that my left? Wait a minute. That's my left. Is that my left?
Looks like on the right.
And Paul below. And this box below here is for you. If you'd like to come on live with us and join the discussion that way, that's great. I'm going to eliminate this box because that's where we're going to put your comments. So if you have questions or comments about moment mindfulness, about the practice, about what's going on, uh, you know, put them in the comments. I will bring them up live and we'll answer your questions and interact with you. I was saying that Mondays at noon, we have another live stream focused on relationships. And we have Rochelle Lane, who's wonderful. And that live stream on Monday is going to be on Tuesday because I'm going to be traveling on Monday. And I'm going to be doing the live stream on Tuesday somewhere in the Sierras from my RV. So thank you, Elon Musk, for Starlink Mini that allows me to do that. So the beautiful thing about Starlink Mini is you mount it on a flagpole and the router is built into the base of the dish, and so it just bathes the area with Wi-Fi. It's just absolutely amazing, and it's fast. The other thing is I want to say, I'll announce this a couple times. I have a new book out called Free of the Mind. It's selling very well. It's an ebook, so there will be a link below, and you'll be able to click that and get an immediate download. It's also available in Spanish, believe it or not. So unless you're born in East LA, you might want the Spanish version. If you're born in East LA, you probably still want the English version. So that's a joke if you've ever seen that movie, Born in East LA. So anyway, Paul and Simon, bring us up to date. How are you? I have a specific question for both of you. Are you still doing the moment mindfulness exercise where you notice a small thought and watch it go away? Are you doing that? Simon, why don't you go first, then over to Paul?
What I'm doing a lot of is noticing the switch between the task positive effects of like being engaged with customers, handling phone calls, and then after an hour noticing that, oh my goodness, once I stop that, it goes back to the chatter. And I just pay attention until like I get distracted by another task that needs to happen. I'll
Uh-huh.
just try to watch it away. So I noticed a switch a lot.
Good.
I noticed, but yeah, I just have to wait until that goes away. I'm trying not to engage with it as much, just waiting.
So we're going to go through the exercise here in a few minutes. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, no, I'm very disciplined at implementing the process, um, and I do have some extended moments of quiet.
Good. Okay. Now, of course, let's just go through the exercise. Moment mindfulness is, and I don't have access to the slide, but moment mindfulness is an exercise where you simply relax and let the next thought drift into your mind. Trivial, non-emotional thought. For Paul, it might be, I need to trim my beard tomorrow. Um, for Simon, it might mean I need to shave my head tomorrow. And so when you stand back and notice that you're thinking, what you will experience is, as Simon was saying, those networks in the brain switch. And when they switch, the voice in your head goes away. As you do that exercise, eventually there is a moment where you realize that voice in your head is not who you are, and you go free. It is an emotional, psychological, and spiritual awakening that happens. And Paul, have you had an inkling toward that at all as you're doing the practice?
Yeah, no, I believe I've experienced it. It doesn't seem to stick
Uh-huh.
a lot.
Okay.
Um, and what I noticed is my overthinking is very prominent, and it's kind of it can be kind of aggressive, and I
Okay.
guess that's more of the negative thoughts.
Right. Right.
I can conceptualize it quite well, and
Uh-huh.
I do feel like when I'm in that state, I can kind of not rewrite my story, but just kind of look at things like authentically beyond just what's going on in my prefrontal cortex a little bit, and
Okay.
separate from that.
Would it be okay with you two gentlemen if I took you through the process and just ask you some questions and get you to respond about what you notice as we do this? Would that be all right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
So just sit there and relax. Wait for the next thought, and we're looking for inconsequential thoughts that have no emotional loading and are not negative or hook you in any way. Just casual thoughts like, oh, I wonder if it's going to rain tomorrow, or I'm going to have fun at the 4th of July event. So just sit there and wait for the next thought to drift into your mind. You don't generate a thought, you just let it drift in. And when you focus your attention on the thought, what happens to the voice in your head? Whoever has an experience, speak up first. So the voice in your head speaks. You notice that it's speaking. The instant you notice that the voice is speaking, by the way, we don't care about the content of the thought. We're interested in observing the process of thought itself. So you just stand back. You notice that the voice in your head is speaking English words. In the instant you become the observer of that, what happens to the voice?
We've gone through this before. I want to say it ends, like it finishes. It like expires, like the
Right?
short-term memory. It says something, and it always comes to an end. Like there's always a period.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have so much more to expand on that. It's
Well, that's all right. We'll get into the weeds in a minute
Well,
or two.
I just tried that, and what I just noticed was my benign thoughts feel a lot different than my negative thoughts,
Of course.
and so I wasn't even really noticing a lot of my benign thoughts, and I would just
Yes.
thought of something like, "Oh, I want to get a piece of gum," and
Uh-huh.
it went away right away, and it was
Okay, so let me
really
explain something to you. If you will do that on the benign thoughts, if you'll do that exercise twice a day for the next week, you will have an awakening experience. You will notice your perception, not your perception, your perspective shifts. And it does it all by itself. So, and yes, benign thoughts and negative thoughts feel entirely different because benign thoughts have no emotion. That's why we are using benign thoughts.
it's
The,
almost like it's a different voice. The benign
well,
is more of like a different voice to me, it seems.
the benign voice is the one that's keeping us all asleep. The
Hmm.
negative thoughts are not keeping us asleep. We know we don't like those. But the benign thoughts keep talking to us, and we believe that's me talking to me. I'm working on. If you notice the title, and by the way, put any questions or comments. I got my eye on the screen over here. If they pop up, I'll bring them up on the screen. Um, the my my title for tonight was "If there's no self, then what is self-talk?" And and that's the key to the whole thing. If all the awakened masters tell us there is no self, right? So there's actually no Simon, there's no Mark, there's no Paul, there's no self. It's an illusion. Okay, well if that's true, If that is reality, then what is self-talk? Well, self-talk is not self-talk, because the self that's talking is not a real self. And this is what has humankind trapped in our heads, basically thinking attack thoughts and killing one another. It's the basis of all the struggle and strife in the world, is that internal dialogue that we believe is me talking to me, and so we give it authority over us. This exercise is so incredibly simple. There's nothing to analyze, there's no conclusion, you don't look for an outcome. You do what Paul just did. You just notice a benign thought. The instant you notice it, the networks in your brain shift, as Simon said. As soon as the networks shift, the voice goes away. And if you do that exercise enough, there is a light bulb moment where you realize, wait a minute, I'm not the voice in my head, and you go free. It's a psychological, spiritual, and emotional awakening. Is the negative thoughts an addiction? Yes, in a couple different ways. It's a psychological addiction and a physical addiction. So we become physically addicted to the emotions that release chemicals in our bodies. So when a negative thought makes us feel angry, for instance, we get addicted to the adrenaline rush. So there is a physical aspect to this. The psychological aspect of it is also an addiction, because the origin of self-talk is self-soothing. And so we become addicted as young children to talking in our heads, trying to make ourselves feel better. And that in and of itself becomes an addiction. And that's why this thing has such a tremendous grip on us, because we think it's ourselves trying to make ourselves feel better. And so we keep doing it, trying to have a better feeling. Either of you guys want to react to what I just said? Any thoughts come up for you?
Yeah. If I was a fish, if anyone wanted to catch me as a fish, they would the best way to bait me would be to write an incomplete sentence or say something bad about me. Like, they know that I'm a blue fish. It's like, man, that red fish. Like, no, 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 I'm a blue fish. I would just try to correct it. And I think that's what's happening in my head. I just feel like this righteous thing in me where it's like I get addicted to feeling righteous. That's the part that I think is addictive. So when I get a negative thought, man, I try to correct the hell out of it. And that's
Right.
the part that gets me stuck. It's like, and I don't generate the negative thoughts. They just arise. Like,
Yes.
surprise, here, I'm just gonna harass the hell out of you
Right.
for the next 10 minutes. For the next 10 minutes, I'm just gonna harass you as much as I can to see if you bite, see if you react, see if you have something better to say about all these negative comments. Just
Paul, I can see you've got something at the tip of your tongue there. Go ahead.
Well, it's funny he mentions that because, I've had a coworker kind of say some things to me that I interpreted as like negative. And I've been thinking about it ever since it's happened. And I'm like, I don't know how to respond to this. I don't know how
yeah,
I should
yeah, yeah,
react to this.
exactly. Yeah,
Should I,
yeah.
should I try to correct them or ask for clarity? And at the same time, I'm like, I don't even know if I'm perceiving it correctly, but I'm taking it
Yes.
as like a negative thing
Yeah,
that, oh, I need to
yeah.
solve this. And if I was truly nobody, I wouldn't put any
Where,
weight on what some other person is saying. I
where
feel.
are all those options happening? Where are all those options happening? Where are you considering all those things? Just in quiet in your head?
Well,
Yeah.
this is all
Yeah,
about survival. This is
right.
the
Yeah.
whole survival mechanism in the brain. And when we get somebody making a comment that we may or may not misinterpret, we start having feelings, and then we start going around and around trying to make the feelings go away. And the internal dialogue is the main tool we have to try to do that. And of course, it doesn't work. It just makes us miserable. By the way, Ross went, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly, but thank you so much for the question, and keep it up. We're
Yeah.
taking your questions and comments in order as they come in, and Paul and Simon are learning all along with everybody else. And we have a pretty good sized audience, so feel free to say hello or interact with us in any way. So what I've discovered, um, quite by accident, well, let me just say this. 30 years ago, when I started doing therapy with people, I was trying to impart what had happened to me. I'd had an awakening experience, and I realized to duplicate the awakening, people needed to witness their own thoughts, right? And so I started talking about that, and I started teaching it to my clients, and I had mixed results. And at some point, I realized what the problem was. The problem was people did not know what a thought was.
Yeah.
And so much of our own self-talk, we don't categorize as thinking. That's just me talking to me. That's not a thought. But those small thoughts are the ones that have us trapped in identification, going over the same stuff over and over again in our heads. And what Paul is saying is what we all do. Somebody makes a comment, and then we regurgitate it and recapitulate it, and we do all this stuff in our head trying to make ourselves feel better, trying to understand what's going on and process the emotions, and it just turns into a big hairy ball.
Well,
Yeah.
what I'm kind of translating this to like my behavior is like, so what my mind is telling me to do is get some clarity, contact this person
Right.
and try to get some clarity from what they meant. And I
That's so
guess
you
that's a
can
way
feel
for
better.
me so I can find some relief.
Right.
Um, and I'm really thinking this is where it comes in. I can say, you know what, like if you're listening to that, you're going to exhibit that behavior where you reach out looking for clarity to make yourself feel better. And maybe that's not the best solution. So
Uh-huh.
what I'm saying, well, the emotion control, you don't address it, let it go, trying
Right.
just to let it go, whether it's true or not. Because in my head, it's like, oh, it's so true. And like, maybe you need clarity. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe you're right. Um, and it's hard sitting in that discomfort of not knowing. So I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I need to know. And I'm controlling myself because I'm like, oh, I should send this person a message. And I've even typed it out, didn't send it, but I just typed it out because I like wanted to. And I would like to make a conscious decision to not do that.
Right. So if you do moment mindfulness, there's a moment when you realize the voice in your head is not who you are, and you don't care whether you do that ever again, because you're not responding to the thoughts anymore, because you know the thoughts are not real, that's not really you. And when the voice in your head wants you to feel guilty or uncomfortable or whatever, you just shrug it off, because you know that voice is an artifact of a primitive part of your brain that wants to talk to you to make you feel better. And you know it's going to spiral into suffering, which is what Paul is describing right now. He's describing suffering. And once you've disidentified with the voice in your head, you just don't go down that rabbit hole with it anymore. So Elioscriptor says, don't negative thoughts get generated by a sympathetic tense nervous system. I believe that's exactly what we're talking about. Sympathetic response in the nervous system is fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're talking about. And so your answer to assess, I don't know that increasing parasympathetic tone diminishes negative thoughts. It sounds like a good idea to me, but the parasympathetic is the passive part of the response. It's the digestive turning inward, shutting down. And I think becoming more conscious is better than going parasympathetic, because that just feels to me like you would just kind of go limp and passive in response to stimuli. But follow up with another question if you would. And if you disagree with me, I can certainly understand that, because I've never considered it from the point of view that you're bringing up. So I don't teach people to become more parasympathetic, because I got a whole bunch of people in my office, that bring their husbands in, and they're real parasympathetic. They're just completely shut down and passive and won't respond to anything. So You know, what I'm trying to do is something a little different. I mean, you can almost see them. When you start to talk to them, you can see them go, and
Wow.
that's a parasympathetic response. The avoidance is parasympathetic. The avoidance of the unicorn is parasympathetic. Parasympathetic. The anger of the lion is sympathetic, and to me, they're both forms of unconsciousness.
You know, when Paul describes all these options that he's considering, it reminds me of like a Bruce Lee montage when he has those classic like Japanese I don't know what they call them when it spins and he's hitting one arm, it spins the other way and he's hitting another arm, just one after another. He's like practicing how to deflect and spin and hit. It's like, what do I
Mm-hmm.
say? How do I hit this? How do I? It's like just mental gymnastics, just mind games.
Yeah,
Well, you know what's interesting is this is also being implemented by somebody that I know physically, and they kind of are. I feel like they're taking literal jabs at me to get me to react. So it's not even just
mm-hmm.
my own thoughts. It's like
Right.
Oh,
they're kind of like
yeah,
you should stick up for yourself more, and then they just kind of keep saying meaner and meaner things and doing meaner and meaner things
yeah,
because my whole MO is like, I'm nothing here is worth me overreacting about. And it seems like they're kind of testing me to get me to react. And again, that's a thought too, but it's almost like they're perceiving me as being weak for not sticking up for myself. And
Right.
they're like real adamant at getting me to cave and then say, hey, you know what you just said was inappropriate. And I've been playing it. My behavior has demonstrated like I'm playing it off really cool, but internally, I'm like thinking about it at night and, asking advice from like my mom, like, well, talking to you guys about it. And I'm like, I guess at the end of the day, it's how you behave. So I feel like if I were to take the bait, it would be kind of like identifying with those thoughts because it's so strange. I'm trying to master this in my own head, and then I'm getting real examples of external sources that are challenging me to really like let go of uh you know my these reactions that I feel like I need to take. So I kind of feel like this person is trying to see how reactive I am to their stimulus, not just me in my head.
yeah. How much can we encroach on your boundaries until you fight back? You know, how much can we get closer? How much closer can we get until we like, kick you off the property that you feel like is yours, right?
Yeah, and I don't know why this person would be doing that, but that's kind of how it seems.
Well, all
So
behavior is driven by emotion.
Yeah,
yeah.
command and conquer.
So what emotion is he experiencing, and what we
Well,
don't like in. Go ahead.
oh, well, it's a female, and
Oh.
I know for a fact that she has some like mental problems. Because we talk a lot. We're friendly. She's confided in me. Oh, like I have issues overthinking and all this kind of stuff. And I've even brought
Uh-huh.
up moment mindfulness. And you're not your thoughts. I've even said this stuff. I've been real nice to her, and then lately she's been getting kind of like literally testy. Like she's kind of testing that, like seeing how I would react, and just kind of getting meaner and meaner. And it seems kind of a little immature to me, but it's kind of making me think about that kind of stuff. And it's almost like, hey, I kind of want to reach out and say like, hey, like, you're getting kind of mean, but then I'm reacting to the stimulus. So I'm reacting to this person like I'd like to react to my thoughts. Just
No, I don't think you're reacting at all, Paul. I think
yeah.
if you say it seems like you're getting mean with me. I thought we were being friendly with one another. What's changed? Now,
I
if
feel
you
like
said if you
yeah.
yelled at her and told her to shut up, I mean that's a reaction.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, but I am thinking to myself, I'm like, even just reaching out and saying like, hey, like, you just, you seem a little, you've been teasing me a little extra hard lately. Um, I feel like that would be a reaction in its own way, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could
Um,
say you don't even turn it on you. It just says it seems like you've been a little upset lately.
yeah.
Don't
Um,
even make it personal.
Yeah, no, that's true too. And I was kind of debating that. And my conscious decision is just to wait. We're gonna have a long weekend, see
Uh-huh.
what happens Tuesday, and take it from there. You know,
Nobody's
I
holding
just
a gun to your head to make a decision early, for sure.
Yeah, and the thing is it goes back into my thinking where, oh, I need to have clarity on this situation to
Right,
feel some comfort.
right.
And so I'm kind of using it as like, let's ignore that a little bit. Let's just
Uh-huh.
listen to that thought of trying to seek reassurance or comfort or some kind of, because I could be wrong, and kind of demonstrate to myself like I can have some emotional control over a benign thought of like reaching out to a coworker over something, some misperceived or and what I noticed was is my experience with that is when I feel that way in the past and I have talked to the person about it, they they say, "I'm sorry you felt that way. That's totally not what I meant."
Uh-huh.
So that ties into my thinking being overly analytical and critical, and I feel like I'm reading into this situation way too much, and that's kind of demonstrates how my negative overthinking kind of ruminates in my mind quite a bit.
You know what I
Mark,
think when I hear you say this, Paul? I feel like somebody who's really striving to live a life of being self aware and understanding. And everything you're saying I believe, I feel like is coming from a place of really higher level living.
Hmm.
And I appreciate the way you're evaluating yourself and the way you're looking at yourself almost like a third party, because it takes that kind of self examination to get anywhere, and the way you're articulating it is just very impressive in my mind.
Well,
right? Mark,
I have a reputation at work, and and I I want to maintain that, and that takes a level of conscious effort, I feel.
Sure. Go ahead, Simon.
I just want to ask if, like, I'm sorry he's going through this, but if not in his head, where else can he exercise these options? I mean, and in a way where he feels like he's the one that he's like deliberately looking for options, right? There's way like he feels like he has his hand in his psychology and he's looking for options. He's working at it, right?
Yeah.
If he doesn't do that in his head, how does he get out of it? I mean, he's not going to verbalize every option. He's not going to have to write everything down, right? So how does he get out of his head while trying to do like this moment mindfulness and observe his thinking? At some point, he feels like he's the one in control of his thinking and the option generation and the analysis, right? So,
To
I mean,
me,
I
it
could relate
sounds to me it
extremely
sounds
well.
like he's standing back from a different perspective, looking at what's going on in his head.
How does like your concept of awakening help him like do better at what he's trying to achieve here? Or
Well, I
I don't know how
think
to phrase it. He's gonna
I
have to work it out, right? So how does he do this as an awakened person when it's all gonna happen within him in his mindset in his head?
well, what I'm saying, he's doing a pretty good job, but when you become awakened the way we're describing it here on this channel, this is not
Hmm.
enlightenment, but it is an awakening. You
Hmm.
immediately understand what your motives are and what your defenses are, and that leads you to what reality really is. And so that is my evaluation of what Paul's actually doing. He's standing back and he's saying, okay, I see what I'm doing. Where's this really coming from?
Exactly. I mean, he's articulated his problem. He knows where
Yep,
he stands.
yep.
He realizes who the problem is, who the subject is. How are you, or how do we achieve this awakening when he's doing everything so conscious of every step by step about like he's performing metacognition, he's performing
Right.
analysis, he's
Mm-hmm.
verbalizing it, he's not stuck in his head.
Right.
Like, where do we go from here? I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. Where do we go from here?
Well, what he's doing is he's waiting for the moment when he knows what to do instead of acting impulsively.
But how does he disidentify from who he is inside of himself? I don't get it. I don't get it.
So answer that, Paul? How do you respond to what he's saying?
Well, so it's causing me discomfort. Like it made it harder for me to sleep last night. I've been thinking about it. I've asked people that I trust advice on the situation, trying to say, "Hey, hey, I overthink sometimes too. So I don't even know if I'm perceiving this correctly
Uh-huh.
at this point. It's so metacognition. I'm like, I'm seeing both sides. I'm like, I can be completely wrong. I could be completely right. And then it opens up like a new window where I'm like, well, there's a whole horizon here that is beyond these two options that maybe I need to focus on something else and and put my energy. But the thing is it's I feel like it's an emotional reaction, and it's the emotional reaction that I'm suffering from. Um, so that's like the pain body in me being stimulated, and
Uh,
I feel like it takes
yes.
a while for that to settle down.
So what I'm saying to you is it takes a level of maturity to know that it is the pain body and you're separate from the pain body and you don't have to become ensnared in it. And that's part of the awakening I believe you're already experiencing. I mean, could you
Mhm.
have evaluated it this dispassionately before you started this process on the channel with us?
Yeah, and even when it was occurring, my reactions were very calm. Like
Yeah.
on the spot, I was able to just automatically just play it off and, treat it like light banter. Like my act is pretty good. On the inside, I'm thinking about
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my
Complete
God,
stoic.
like,
Poker
uh,
face.
and that's why I think this person's kind of trying harder because I'm not taking the bait and not
Uh-huh.
giving those cues of like being bothered to where they're writing their own narrative and putting a frame on me about like, oh, you never stick up for yourself, or you're just on the sidelines, you're not thinking about this. And these are words that they said because I feel like they're kind of confused why I'm not reacting.
So
Um,
is my question, is this uncharacteristic for you, or would you have done this a year ago the same way?
I've done this with other people I work with,
Right.
and it actually occurred yesterday where it was one person and another person that aren't together, and I was perceiving them in the same way.
So let me
So,
ask you a question then. Are you operating from a level of self-awareness, or are you struggling with conflict avoidance?
oh, I believe there's a lot of conflict avoidance.
Okay.
You know, the other coworker is different, and I was able to communicate with her. She saw it on my face. She said, "Is there something wrong?" And I said, and she's like, "Was I mean to you yesterday?" She like immediately
Hmm.
perceived exactly what I was thinking.
Right.
And this is a different person.
Well, she
And I
doesn't
was
have
really
mental
surprised.
problems like the other one does.
I guess not. And I guess she was aware of the conversations we were having and read my reactions and could read my body language a little bit better. And then I was like, yeah, but I wasn't really sure. I'm not really sure, like if I was taking it too personally, or I'm not really conscious sometimes, like about. I could be overthinking is basically the way that I said it. She's like, okay, I understand. Well, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. We're friends. I didn't mean it that way at all. And it showed me that my overthinking was wrong in that particular situation.
Okay.
So I have two examples, same day, two different people. One person I got confirmation from, not because I sought it out, but because they saw it,
Right.
and the other person I still don't know about.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
so when I think about it, I'm like, well, that might be a me problem.
Okay.
And I wouldn't have volunteered the information to either of them unless one of them asked.
Well, I would just say just keep asking the question. You're asking good questions, and I think you're going to get insights that are
Hmm.
going to be very illuminating. If you're listening to this pretty fascinating conversation about somebody's interior process that I think is very revealing about how we human animals work. So if you're watching this, you have a question, a comment, you want to make a point, add to the conversation. I've really appreciated both Ross Fuent, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct, or Elioscriptor. If you guys are still with us and you want to ask a follow up, Paul or Simon, go ahead.
Mark, I have a question for you. So, is there any way you could describe like a version of Paul who goes through your process and comes out the other end? Can you describe a version of Paul that we could maybe visualize with like an alter ego or an awakened Paul? What can you project awakened Paul would do or say in this situation instead of who he is now?
Well,
Is that
I'm
possible?
telling you, an awakened Paul is talking right now. It feels like to me.
I see.
He's looking at his defenses are coming up, his emotional pain is coming up, his
Right.
evaluation, his perception of the other person, and he's questioning all of it before he
So
takes another move.
it's not a problem that, or he's not doing it incorrectly, that it's in his head, or he's like in the mud, in the thick of things, in himself.
Well, I see what he's doing is he's trying to make himself feel better, but he also sees what he's doing to try to accommodate that.
I see. So he's got one foot in, one foot out.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
so that's why I say I admire the process he's going through because he knows, but see what's interesting about what Paul is saying, he knows he's got one foot in.
Yeah. He articulates really well. Paul does. Yeah.
But see what I'm saying, for most people they might be able to evaluate this, but they wouldn't know they had what the one foot still stuck in. They'd be trying to
Right.
justify themselves
I
and
see. I see. I see.
rationalize their
Yeah.
thinking, and Paul's doing
He's
none
not
of that.
fully bought into it. He's not bought into himself and what he's
That's
going
right.
through. He's like, let me
That's
see
right.
what I'm seeing. Right. Right. I
He
see. I see what you're
even
saying.
and Paul, I'm sorry, we're talking to you like you're
Yeah.
not even here.
Sorry.
But he even at one point busts his own act. He says, "This is my act. I can see my act." Okay, that's
Right.
what an awakened person does. They see their act.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Got it. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for
You
being here,
know.
Paul. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. What I'm coming to realize is, so I keep one foot in that discomfort because it keeps me grounded in a situation, and it is uncomfortable, but I'm not trying to just make it go away. Like I'm kind of like choosing to sit in it so I can assess the situation to make the best strategic move.
Uh-huh.
And it's uncomfortable. And what I realized about this is it's not necessarily about making you feel comfortable. And what I'm trying to accept is accepting that in life there's going to be discomfort,
Yeah.
whether you can rationalize it or not. And it is uncomfortable. Um, I was doing my yoga class today and I was thinking about it. I've been thinking about it all day and but still
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
my business. And I feel like, but then I go, that's kind of it's like going to the gym and working out. It hurts, and I don't want to mask it and I'm trying to analyze it. So I would like to be able to have a way to detach from the discomfort, but I
Hmm.
don't know if that's possible logically because
It
I
is
think that is
possible.
coming. Oh, okay, well, I'm still working on it, and maybe
See,
I am
look,
getting some relief.
so you were
Um,
hurt, and that's painful, but suffering is all the thinking you're doing about the pain.
yeah,
And the only reason you're doing the thinking about the pain is because you believe you are the voice in your head.
yeah,
And so once
um,
that belief has been struck down, you're not going to the option of suffering is no longer going to be on the table. You're not going to care about all this other situation. You're just not going to go into that rabbit hole and suffer anymore.
So
Period.
it's like we
But
believe that we're in the fight. Is that the problem? Like we believe that we're in the fight in the head.
yes,
You said in one of your AI videos, like the thought can't distinguish versus like real or fake. So if we're thinking about ourselves in the situation, then forget it. Like we're lost. Yeah, we're
yeah,
lost in it.
yeah.
So
As
more
soon as you
suffering for
believe a
Paul.
thought, you start suffering.
Right. So it's more suffering if he
Let,
keeps analyzing what
let
to
me
do
give you
about
an
it.
example from my own life. Last night, just before I went to bed, I got an email from a coaching client from another country, and I thought what they said was pretty ridiculous, and it upset me. And but I decided not to respond until I was ready. And so today I just completely forgot all about it until the end of the day. And I thought, okay, now it's time for me to respond. And so I sat down with AI and I gave it some ideas of how I want to respond. And it wrote a great response and I sent it. And that was the end of it.
Wonderful.
But,
Okay.
but I saw what I did with it. I saw that I wanted to make it about me and I wanted to make it, I wanted to interpret them a certain way. And I realized in that state, I could not respond productively. So I just put it on the table.
Man, sometimes I don't know if I'm justifying my suffering, but even like monks, they say that like I got this monkey mind. I got this like
Right.
coward in my head who wants
Yeah.
to react to things. It doesn't
Right.
realize it, but it's coward. I'm like, man, if a monk is calling his mind a coward, then I might be okay. Like everyone goes through this.
Right.
Like millions of other billions of
Absolutely.
people are suffering
Absolutely.
in their
We've only got a few more minutes before we got to pull the plug tonight. If you still have a comment or question, please get it on the table now so we can respond, make you a priority, and be respectful. And before we're done, I just want to one more time mention my book, Free of the Mind. It just came out. It's an ebook. You click and it downloads instantly. I'd love to get your feedback when you read the book. Tell me how you liked it. And our Monday live stream that's normally at noon is going to be on Tuesday at noon, just to let you know. But as soon as, look, here's what happens. When these things happen, as soon as you feel that twinge of pain and you start talking to yourself in the head, you know you've been sucked in.
baited. Yeah.
You baited, exactly. If you do the moment mindfulness exercise the way I'm telling you to do it, there is an awakening moment when you know beyond a shadow of a doubt you're not the voice in your head, and when that baiting occurs, it's much easier to control because you know it's a mechanism in your brain that's trying to masquerade as you and have you give it authority over it. And when you're just done doing that, life becomes a lot easier. And I sent this email off to this person, and that's the end of it as far as I'm concerned. I don't really care how they respond. I have no investment on them validating me or in any way, shape, or form. It's not because I've drawn a boundary. That it's not that. It's just that I don't care. I know as a lion, I want their approval. I want to feel good about myself and have them give me some fuzzies so I can feel okay. But that's not even on the table. I responded in a way that I thought was very healthy and appropriate, and that's it. Oh, here we got Larry Lester just tuned in. Thanks for tuning in. I hope autoimmune Schwarzen's disease affecting my thoughts, the immune assault on the nervous system. I know I get sucked in. I understand. I don't know what that disease is, but knowing you're being sucked in is half the battle.
Right,
so,
right.
you guys,
Exactly.
either one of you have a response to that comment?
That's an example of metacognition, right? You're like
Yes,
the observer of the problem.
that's
He's
right.
observing the problem.
Right,
He knows exactly what he's doing, where he
right.
is.
Does it seem like to everybody listening and to you guys here with me that we have a tsunami of autoimmune disease going on in the world that I don't think ever existed before? And I have a feeling it's got to do with the environment, the food, and everything else. This person's obviously, I get the feeling English is a second language, so he might be in Europe. They have much better food than we do. Generally, you can, if you have celiac disease, I think you can still eat their bread. So
Where all
here's
these
Tim
like,
Miranda saying good evening. Good evening to you, Tim. We've
hello.
got a couple more minutes. Throw anything on the table. We'll try to wrap it up. And this has been, it's always fascinating with you guys. It's the emotional turmoil. Well, Larry, listen, become part of our community and learn moment mindfulness because the emotional turmoil is being generated by the voice in your head. and you will just be able to sidestep that. It's a fantastic experience, and it has to do with disidentifying from the voice in your head and learning the truth that it is not you. It's masquerading as you, and therefore wants to steal your authority from you.
Yeah.
Paul, Simon,
Well,
anything you want to say in closing tonight?
well, talking tonight about the issues, what I realized was it's not the direct comments that the person made. Those didn't actually hurt me. Those were like benign, but
Uh-huh.
it was like the thinking that I applied to it. So
Right.
obviously it didn't hurt me in any way. I'm a pretty strong person. The context of it, the emotional factor, um, other people have called me worse things and it doesn't bother me. So
Right.
it has to be the way that I think about it. And that's the
Absolutely.
mechanism that they triggered. It's
That's
not
right.
what they said, it's the mechanism inside me that they triggered.
Same exact. I was once in an office setting, and a woman was scratching her like chin like this, kind of like towards me. It was completely benign, right? But in my head, I was like, "Wait a minute, doesn't that mean something in
Right.
Italian? Isn't that something in Italian?" You know, it's like, doesn't she want to like say something towards me, like an insult or a? Again, I was doing that to myself. It wasn't her. It was me. Maybe that's
So
what's
Tim
happening.
Tim is saying one last thing before we go. It's the mindset. Trauma is stored in the thoughts or memory. It's expressed in the body. I you know it, it's not stored in the body. I would I think I know where you're going. It's to me it's kind of stored in memory. I don't think trauma is an overused word, but the emotions that you're talking about are triggered. They're stored in the limbic system, and they're triggered by memory, by whatever input we're getting, and then that triggered memory produces a thought, and that's what we're struggling with.
And maybe the thought also entails like a body reaction, like "I will punch you" or something. You know, just like that's the trauma. It's in your fist. The thought, brings the fist alive.
so
Yeah.
so Tim says exactly. Tim, come back and share with us next week. We'll be here at 6:15 on Thursday again for our live stream. And what I'm discovering as I'm interacting with more and more people on this channel is our audience is an extremely high level, very intelligent and thoughtful group. And we've got some. By the way, we're doing small groups. I just started a new one. We're doing a small group on Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, which is a great time for people on the East Coast and in Europe because it's evening time in Europe. And then we started a new one that will be starting Thursdays at 9 a.m. In 2 weeks. And we've already got people signed up for that group. If you're interested, please check that out. And I think the price is very reasonable for those. And the interaction you're going to have with other people is amazing. Larry says, wish I'd joined earlier. I'll be here next week. Great. We really look forward to having you and your input.
Yep.
And Tim says, those thoughts release neurochemicals that cause autoimmune issues. Oh, there you go. I do think you're right. I think it comes from stress.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
People have a lot of unexpressed stress, and it takes resonance in the body, and the body doesn't like it. It's toxic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks. And Paul and Simon, you've donated your time to us. I really appreciate it. And Paul, the way you have done surgery on yourself and exposed it all tonight has just been a real blessing. It's been amazing.
Well, I appreciate you guys listening, and it's helpful for me. So I'm glad it resonates.
So both of you do the moment mindfulness exercise because we're going to be checking on you. All right, everybody. We'll
Maybe
see you
it's
next week.
See you. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.